Well, hello, friends, neighbors. John, your wish neighbor here. Welcome down the Nook on a Saturday. And you can see I threw down some lights because we are running into Christmas. I know it's a little early, and all of my American friends are just figuring out what happened at Thanksgiving. But I've only got a few weekends, and suddenly we'll be together at Christmas. So I thought I'd start with some Canadian whiskey. I'm going to talk to you guys about this Pike Creek 22-year-old finished in PX, and then actually kind of a theme from JP Weiser's. It's the same distillery house. This is their Cask Strength, came out a few years ago. So this is like 59%, but also finished in PX. So, why don't you pour a little Canadian whiskey if you have, or anything finished in that sweeter PX sherry. Come on back and I'll talk to you about, are these some good whiskeys to consider for Christmas? 3, 4. Again, I know, a little early for Christmas, but please take it with a grain of salt and know that it's coming. So let's talk some whiskey. The first one I want to talk about is Pike Creek 22. Now, Pike Creek 22 came out actually a little while ago, but I heard it's still on sale. Actually, like on sale around here in Alberta. So I wanted to get on here and share my current thoughts of this whiskey. Pike Creek is a fairly high corn and rye Canadian blend, aged typically in used barrels for a long time, and then has started a real trend of finishing. Their regular 10-year-old is a rum cask, and then they have a lot of 21, 22, Oloroso, PX, that kind of thing. They've done Speyside, what else? They've done a variety of finishings with the Pike Creek line. This one is finished in PX. PX is a very, very sweet sherry, and likely, and I'll say why, because it says that on this one, likely, seasoned casks. What I don't know is what the oak is for the Pike Creek 22. It's only 45%, but at least it's 45%, not 40. So let's go in, Pike Creek 22-year-old. That is a sweet whiskey. It is, for me, all raisin and, rum raisin and fig and Christmas pudding. Now, not a lot of spicing on the nose, so I don't want to say, like, sometimes Christmas cake can have a fair amount of spices going on. Right now, it's not that savory. It's sweet. Yeah, but sweet, even light chocolate, sweet raisins, sweet plums, sweet prune, that kind of thing. All right, let's jump into the palate. A little bit of Pike Creek 22. Cheers. That was lovely in the palate. This is a really well-drinking, flavorful, I'm going to say the word sweet too many times, but sweet Canadian whiskey. Canadian whiskey, to me, has a lot of corn sweetness that isn't backed off by a lot of the used oak that we traditionally use. This one, it's finally got enough time in oak to have a little bit of oak in the conversation, along with that sweet buttery corn, little bit of spicy rye. It's not high rye. You'd think Canadian whiskey is also known for a lot of good spicy rye. It's there, but it's already on the early finish that I finally get a little more rye hug. This speaks into the cask. It speaks into what haven't I said to describe that fig, thicker, dark raisin, slightly sugary. There is a little bit of mocha, a little bit of unsweetened chocolate in there. There is some vanilla. I should have said there's some vanilla even on the nose, but now I'm saying vanilla sweetness. I find vanilla bean really quite sweet. So now that I've said vanilla bean, almost like sweet vanilla ice cream going on. This is a good dram. And, viewers asked me like, hey, what do you think of this? And I had to say, oh, I like it, but it's just sitting on the shelf. It's not going down. And I don't know why. Because now that I've reached for it again, sipped through it, I want to reach out and say, that's actually really good. And if it's on sale, like I got this on sale, I would consider it. That $70 to $80 range for a 22-year-old whiskey, this is absolutely a Christmas whiskey for me. Forget star ratings right now. Would I bring this to a party and pour it? Yeah. I think people would love to resonate with the bottle. I bring the bottle so they can see 22 years old. There's a bit of a story, and this flavor profile would have quite a broad appeal. Okay, as I reach for this bottle to, do the bottle shot, the intro into the next part, I was totally wrong in the opener. This is port seasoned cask. And I do know that, knew that. I've had this whiskey before. I'm sorry I said they were both PX. That is just so wrong. But in keeping with who I am, I don't reshoot. So let's just go forward. This is JP Weiser 22-year-old port finished. So we've got the same age stamp, but it's also JP Weiser blend. And I find the JP Weiser blend higher in corn than the Pike Creek, I think, has maybe a little more rye, but I really could be off about that. For this one, it also gives a little more detail on the finishing. So it is a blend of corn and rye, but it says that the finishing is done in port seasoned new French oak casks, whereas this just says finished in PX casks. It doesn't say, I'm likely it's going to be seasoned, but I'm not sure. So these will obviously be different because the finishings are quite different wine, PX sherry versus port. So sorry for that. But let's just see. They're both JP Weiser house. They're both 22 years old. This one's got a little more kick at 59.7%. And it could be the 59, but this has spice already in the nose and definitely backs off the sweetness. I do have some wine notes. I do have some red fruit notes. Right now, they're more berry, they're more raspberry, that type of thing. Absolutely. Far more into the raspberry jam than this, which is into the sugared plums. I don't think I've ever had sugared plums. Anyways, let's get into this JP Weiser Cask Strength 22-year-old. On the palate. Cheers. As you'd expect, going to 59 or so out of 45, it's a fuller dram. But I also find this a richer dram. I find more buttery quality, that coating note you get in the palate. I'm getting a lot more cocoa and chocolate. The berries even are little blackberry, raspberry, slight nuttiness. For me, this finish is better than the sweet PX, but it is spicier. I think that's the French oak. If there's French oak in here, it's well hidden. This, to me, has that French oak wood. I was really getting that on this. I should revisit this port cask finish, lot 40. Just that, nutty but spicy but oaky that I'm lately been getting from French oak, at least the way JP Weiser shares their French oak. Definitely. Is this richer? Yes. Do I prefer it? Yeah, actually I do. And I'm really sorry for that, as I'm quite sure this 22-year-old Cask Strength's just not on the shelves. This PX though, this PX finished, also 22, is a real delight, a real treat, and I think would have a broad appeal. If for some reason you can see this 22-year-old Cask Strength on the shelf and it hasn't had some kind of weird inflationary price creep, this is certainly worth picking up. I really like it. So coming into Canadian whiskey recommendation, I'm going to try to shoot a few, some locals to consider, some single malts to consider. I'm going to start, this is a big house. JP Weiser, they make liters and liters, millions of liters of liquid out there. So they're big players. These releases are done well though. This is good character. If they could look at these and do natural coloring and non-chill filtering, they would be home runs. I know they're colored. I'm sure they're filtered. The Cask Strength still has tons of body and a chewiness. The PX, delightful flavors, but is a little thin, and I'm curious what that would be like if it wasn't filtered. Thanks for joining me here. As I said, I apologize to my American friends a little early for a Christmas thing, but I suggest these older Canadians would be great to bring to any kind of festive party. Thanks for joining me. You guys have a good week.